Welcome to Tailboard Talk, a fourth shift fitcast. The mission of Tailboard Talk and the fourth shift fitness is to educate and train fire service personnel to increase durability and decrease the potential for injuries and their associated costs. My name is Chris Morella, owner and founder of Fourth Shift Fitness. I'll use my experience as a personal trainer, strength coach, and 15-year veteran of the fire service to deliver tips, tricks, lessons, and information specifically geared towards the health and wellness of firefighters and paramedics. Each episode, you'll leave with immediate deliverables that will improve performance and resilience and keep you in the fight through your career and into retirement. Let's get into it. Clear off this thing. All right, so without having talked about this recently,
Okay.
I'm going to guess your favorite pair of shoes you ever had to work out in. You got to, so I'm going to say it in the microphone, but you can't know what I'm saying.
Okay.
So you got to plug your ears and I'll shield my mouth. Ready?
I'm plugging my ears.
Yeah. Because then, wait, don't, because then you're going to say what it is. I'm going to see if I'm right.
Wait, say this again.
I'm going to guess what your favorite pair of shoes you ever worked out in was. I'm going to say it into here
Okay.
without you knowing it.
Okay.
And then you're going to say what your favorite pair of shoes you ever worked out in was.
At the same time or after?
No, afterwards.
Okay.
Okay, so cover your
Cover
ears.
my ears. All right.
He had a pair of... Are you listening?
No. Yeah.
Yeah. He had a pair of Pumas when he was a CrossFitter. That's what he's going to talk about. They're like 10, 20 years ago. Okay. What was your favorite pair of shoes you ever worked out in?
Nike finger traps.
What is that?
They're old trainers with the
God damn it.
the interlaced sides on them.
Oh, the woven sides?
Mm-hmm.
Think back further.
Further.
Your absolute favorite pair of shoes ever.
Are we going back to CrossFit days?
Yeah.
Is it the Pumas?
Yeah, it is.
I still got a pair like
Like
that
3 pairs of
upstairs.
them?
Yeah.
The Pumas.
The
okay.
Pumas, yeah.
What did you like about the Pumas? Great CrossFit shoe, you said.
Yeah.
'Cause
You
it's
know,
such a weird pick, a Puma shoe.
yeah. It was, well, you know, at that time, the whole flat bottom shoe was somewhat minimalist stuff was in style, but it was still a bit of an athletic shoe because it had to be somewhat soccer related too. So I think it was that. It was a cheaper shoe that had a flat bottom with no like air pockets or anything in them.
Yeah.
And, but still had enough durability to it.
And it was like that wasn't really a cross trainer, was it?
No,
Like,
I
it
would
was very much
consider
a
it probably
straightforward-
like yeah, I don't know if I'd even call it an indoor soccer shoe, but it was, I don't know, Puma's version of a skate shoe almost.
Okay. It was like the old school looking New Balance ones, right?
Yeah, but like a little more streamlined, not as like
Yeah.
wide, I think.
like-
A little bit more narrow.
Round, like bubbly.
Like a hybrid between like the Adidas Sambas and the New Balance old man shoe.
Yeah.
Like you combine them together.
That sounds terrible. Sounds
I
like
would never wear
the
them.
perfect shoe.
Yeah.
I forgot about the Nike finger trap ones.
Mhm.
You did chase those for a while.
Yeah. I wish they still made those. I'd order them today.
Why do they stop making shoes like that?
I
Like,
don't know.
You know
I've
they do
gotten
well.
to the point where if I get a shoe and I like it, I order another one right away to have
Yeah.
for 6 months when I need them.
Yeah.
I was looking for shoes the other day. Same thing. It's like, I feel like there should be a $60 trainer that's black that you can just get off Zappos. And it's like, no, you can't find that anywhere.
Oh, no. Anything. Well, it's blown up, right?
Right.
Like CrossFit blew it up and they have their like really expensive Nanos and
Yeah.
whatever else, right? Or Metcons now. And then it blew up everything else too.
Right.
Except for the pinnacle of athletic training in footwear.
The Under Armour shoes.
Fans.
Ah, man.
Yeah. Under Armour is my favorite brand because they have more consistently had low heels
Mm-hmm.
and cheaper shoes
Yeah.
than any other company. Like they have so many freaking models of shoes
Mm-hmm.
that you can go on Amazon and look for like a weird off.
I think I got off of Under Armour one time because are they the one that made like the zig foot shoe?
Reebok did that.
I think there's another
The Zig
Armour
Tech?
one. Maybe it was Reebok. Yeah. Okay.
Or
I thought Under Armour had a stupid shoe that I'm like, no, I'm not buying Under Armour anything for a little bit.
there's some phenomenally ugly shoes out now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what is going on with some of these shoes. The big old Dino Stomper ones and like phenomenally ugly shoes. I like Under Armour. I don't know if I've ever had a favorite pair of shoes. My big gripe with shoes is that they're either good looking, like a good trainer looking shoe, but 3/4 of the sole is like that foam.
Yeah.
And they have a little bit of rubber on the heel and a little bit of rubber on the toe. And that's it.
Right.
Or it's like a casual shoe, like those Adidas, like whatever. They're all knit all around, and they have rubber throughout the entire sole. Or you pay $180 for both.
Right.
Which I'm not that high performance anymore.
Yeah.
I can deal with a little foam on the bottom of my shoe.
Yep.
Not running in the rain, but frustrating. Have you ever bought an expensive pair of shoes to work out in?
No, I mean, I think that even when I had a pair of Olympic lifting shoes, they were a Rogue, like the cheapest Rogue pair. But I would say like getting to $80 to $90 is probably my top end that I've spent on something. But most of the time, I'm somewhere between like 45 and 75 on whatever I get.
I've gotten less picky too. Like I'm far. You know what feels really good? Like running shoes. Like they feel really good.
Yeah.
And I'm not lifting necessarily maximal weights anymore.
Right.
So a little bit of squish and a little bit of instability isn't a big deal.
Yeah, I've gone to so I used to have training shoes, and they were at the gym, and that was all they were for, was training. And now I just have shoes, and they're the shoes that I work out in are the same ones that I take dog out for a walk in, and so I want them to just be comfortable. So I'm a little less choosy when it comes to those because I know I'm going through them a lot faster.
Yeah. I understand people that get locked into having training shoes still. How important do you think it really is, though? Like, so the difference between the shoes that we liked with a relatively flat, kind of zero drop-ish, but not quite clown shoe looking, compared to like spending $200 on a pair of Metcons.
Yeah.
Like, how much are we talking difference making here?
Not a lot.
I don't think so.
No. I think unless you're a specialist, you don't need a special shoe. And I think the bigger problem is people hang on to shoes too long. So you've got this 9-month-old, beat up shoe, and just spend the $60 and get a new pair of shoes sooner. I think those are kind of. But in terms of like your shoe, unless you're a specialist, is not changing much in your workouts.
I mean, I'd go so far as to say it's potentially damaging, especially when I'm just thinking about running. And a lot of workouts, especially a lot of CrossFit workouts, have like a middle distance run in them of a mile or like half a mile. Yeah. And that's just long enough to jack yourself up with the wrong shoe. Yeah. And at that point, it's really a balance of like, are you doing this to be a good runner, or are you doing it to get through the workout as fast as you can? And if I'm going for completion of a workout, I'm going like running shoe and more cushion all day long. Yeah. Because I'm not a technical runner. And so I don't want to be jammed up, smacking my heel on the ground and having knee pain. Yeah. Because I want to feel zero difference when I'm doing a poorly performed hang power clean 35 times.
I remember in some of the games people would run in their Olympic lifting shoes.
Really?
Yeah. And I think that would be the opposite. I feel like a normal pair of shoes would have less impact on my Olympic lifting than Olympic lifting shoes would have on my running. Yeah. So I would go for the opposite and say, you know what, maybe at one rep is going to suffer a little more because of my Nike trainers, but running is not going to be like I'm wearing horseshoes, a donkey clip-clopping down the cobblestone trail. Yeah.
I remember, I just thought about it now when you're saying it, they used to sell inserts too that you could put into like a trainer shoe. That was like a platform in there, like a hard heel orthotic. That was like a 3/4 orthotic kind of thing. Yeah. So you had a hard platform to push off of inside the shoe, but you're still at the mercy of the inch of foam underneath it. Right. I think I got on this topic because there's obviously, I think there's a good push now for like a wider shoe, like a more anatomically forgiving shoe.
Are we both in agreement that the toe shoes are just stupid?
Toe shoes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if I ever had a pair before I go too far off the deep end. I have toe socks.
Do you?
I have toe socks because I can't remember why. Why did I get toe socks?
Toe shoes, I guess.
They might have been. I can't remember if I ever had a pair.
I don't think you ever had toe shoes.
Why would I get toe socks? I don't know.
Clearance at TJ Maxx.
No, I wouldn't. No, I sought them out. I don't remember why I got them. It wasn't to wear sandals with them. I don't know why I got them. I still have them. Maybe I'll put them on and they'll come back to me. Like I should I'll pop into toe shoe mode.
What's next?
I don't even like shoes that have the appearance of toes on the outside. Like it's a regular shoe, but they're scalloped on the front to look like toes.
Right.
Equally as dumb looking to me. I wish that like Merrell's and other like quote unquote barefoot shoes didn't look so weird. Because I like the zero drop and like the barefoot thing for walking around. But God, they just look goofy.
Yeah, you look like you need to be out backpacking and they're just.
Especially, I mean, it's the suburban dad outfit of like those and cargo shorts and like
yeah.
a polo, you know, like how fat you're gonna wear your $200 Nike running shoes with your cargo shorts, or your pleated shorts. Yeah, toe shoes are dumb. I mean, I never got a pair of Olympic shoes. I always go back to Raph, and we would get all hung up on when we go down and train with him. Like, these are the shoes for the gym, and these are the shoes for going out and hanging out in Tampa and blah blah. And he'd be wearing jeans and a pair of trail running shoes and doing these phenomenal feats of strength in front of us and then swimming 10 minutes later in the same outfit. And I'm like, how much does this really matter? You know? So that's what I always go back to. But what was I saying? Oh, I think there's a good movement for the wide toe box and more anatomically forgiving shoe. But the whole fixation on shoes, I think people can take a step back from it and maybe just be okay with just wearing regular ass shoes to do their workouts in.
Yeah. So, and it's gone away, but I liken it to the same thing as like the low carb zealots now, like the keto bros. Is like there was a time when the toe shoes were being told to the common person that these will fix your running. You have to run in good form in these shoes. It makes you, and that's not the case. And I think that was a bag of, dirt that someone was sold. Certainly not the case. And that's talking about what you said before. That could make things way worse, if you don't have good running form and now you've taken your safety factor out and now you're just striking in these stupid toe shoes over and over again.
Yeah.
Like I said, I do think that that's faded away, but they definitely will not fix your running form if that's what someone's been telling you.
No, and especially not acutely. Like I remember talking to Joe Galley, and he would say it would take like multiple seasons for a good runner to adjust their stride to a sustainable pace, right? Anybody can change it for a 5K and like run on their toes for a 5K and be blown out the next day with no calves and no hamstrings. But Joe was saying, if you want to change your swimming stroke or your running cadence or anything like that, like 2 seasons is realistic. And then it's going to be uncomfortable. You'll still feel like you're running on the moon for a little bit, and then it'll get good. So to put a pair of shoes on for anything really, Olympic lifting, running, anything specialized like that, and expect immediate results with no repercussions is just not realistic. The other thing I go to specifically for our job is if we're so hung up on deadlifting or doing whatever in specific shoes, then we put on boots to go lift people. Like you're dealing with far more cushion potentially. Limited ankle mobility depending on what kind of boots you have. You're not going to be able to set up in a perfect position with your feet parallel or whatever. So we practice in these like ideal conditions, and then we go out in the real world where we're stepping on like shag carpet with cat crap on it, and then picking people up with a Samson strap. Like how much do your shoes make a difference there? I tend to lean towards more of the GPP kind of idea of like train with some kind of goofy variables in there as safe as you can, and then when you encounter those things, you're more used to it. I think I sent it to the specialist thing, and this popped in my head while I was talking. I know I sent it to you and Raph, but that Chloe Brennan girl who was in the Rogue strongman, like the record breakers area, she's like 140 pounds and lifted 700 pounds in the Denny Stones. Remember that?
Yeah.
So I watched the Rogue thing, and it was shocking how many strongmen were wearing like Noble shoes. First of all, their feet are elephant feet, right? And then Noble shoes are fine, but they're not. It's like structured, and you could see their heels like birthing out of the heels of these shoes, like as they're lifting thousands of pounds, or like running with a keg or something like that, they show their feet and they're like just crushing the outsides of these shoes and like rolling out of them. Now this Chloe Brennan got up there and she was wearing like, they look like Timberlands almost.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's the smartest thing ever because she's short. She was like 140 pounds and 5 foot something.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got these 2 boulders with chains and handles attached. Like, first of all, she's taller than, right? She gets, she's already close to her lockout, which is where she has the most power.
Mm-hmm.
And then she has these raised heel shoes that aren't going to compress worth anything.
Right.
And all of her power is going to be going into this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that was cool to see someone who actually paid attention to that. Not that they're not extreme technicians in what they're doing. And then I saw a thing afterwards, and they're like, where can I buy a pair of your boots? Because those were awesome. She's like, oh, they're just regular hiking shoes I bought. Yeah. But I'm too short to lift a stone, so I just lift them. It just happened to be what I wear that day. Mm-hmm. I was like, what an awesome, coincidental, but on purpose setup to watch this 140-pound, 5 foot nothing chick lift 700 pounds. Mm-hmm. And there were much bigger girls there, but they were taller. And they were wearing, not that it matters for this, but softer shoes. Mm-hmm. And they had a much longer lift to get these things off. So even when their stones were floating an inch off the ground or half an inch off the ground, they were still in like a half squat. Right. And she was like standing as tall as she could. Yeah. And it just made me think of if you're a specialist and you have a very specific purpose, maybe it's appropriate, right? Right. For us jamokes that need to lift in the real world, no. Like my worn down Under Armour boots with that look like a 45-degree wedge because I scuff my heels when I walk on the grit floor are what I'm lifting in to save my back during my career, not my regular shoes. So
yeah, and I know that and there's a big push, obviously. It's kind of died a little bit, but there was I can't remember the foot lady that we saw perform better, but big push for barefoot training and you know having your foot be as functional as it needs to be, but I kind of liken that to supplements. Like, that's like the last 3%, it's not the 97% of the time, and if I've certainly witnessed way more events of not having shoes on being a bigger problem for the workout than having shoes on, And by all means, if you're a power athlete or a change of direction athlete, wear some shoes like while you work out. It's just so stupid not to. If you're doing anything cutting or anything moving side to side, put shoes on.
Even just running straight line forward.
Yeah, you're an athlete. You're going to be working. Your job is going to be in those shoes. Like train with your shoes on. Like barefoot's not. It's not the way to go.
I'd even give. I had a thought pop in my head during the first part of that, and now it left because I thought you were going to attack Vans with the power athlete thing. I thought you were going down the Van route, and so I abandoned every thought in my head.
Here we go, another stupid shoe. It's so stupid. I mean, I love Vans and they're cool, but like, God, it's not the best workout shoe. Like,
I mean, the shoe itself, when you walk in it, it's so inflexible that it pulls away from itself, like where your toe flexes. Yeah. Like it gaps out and tries to rip itself in half, right? Because it's not meant to move, right? Not to mention they're like 4.5 pounds per shoe. Yeah. And how is that athletic at all?
There's nothing more unathletic than watching the Vans enthusiasts do something athletic in Vans. It's just wow.
Yeah, it looks like you're running with Herman Munster feet. Because that's what they are. Yep. They're platforms. Yeah, I feel like they should be like raised up with goldfish in the heels because that's how you look like when you're running. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Well, the barefoot thing. Now, I will say that for specific instruction on like deadlifting and squatting, a very focused, coached session barefoot can help you plant your foot correctly, rotate your shins if needed, build an arch, all that stuff. Teach you how to feel the ground with your foot, and then you can translate that to your shoes if needed, right? I was thinking I do a lot of stuff barefoot in my basement gym, but I also double down because I have that, it's almost half-inch thick foam padding on the ground. Yeah. So I'm wearing shoes even though I'm not wearing shoes. Right. And then I do an extra little giggle to myself because I'll put on my shoes, my Under Armour, whatever, training shoes, on that floor and then do heavy deadlifts. And then myself, I'm giggling like double padding. Yeah. Still doing it. You know? And it's not heavy. I'm not strong, but it feels good to be on double padding and just like middle finger to the to everybody that thinks you have to have ideal conditions on barefoot with granite below you to do a good lift.
And I'm the same. I mean, I'm barefoot a lot, and here when I work out here in the living room, obviously I'm not putting shoes on for that. But you know, it's not. I'm not seeking out needing to be barefoot. It's just as a product of the environment that I'm in.
Yeah.
You know, and I totally agree with you with like the focus sessions, but I think that just marries up with what I said about it being like the last 3%. Like, it's not fixing you not knowing how to deadlift, but it might be the last 3% to get you from 300 to 320, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's valuable in small doses, but when the workout starts, put your shoes on. That's all. Now, I say that knowing that I'm going to work out in the backyard with no shoes on a couple times in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Grass is pretty unstable. Yeah. We'll count that as shoes.
Right.
I'm also not running like pro short shuttles with no shoes on. I'd rather have an athlete, and we did this a few times last year, wear shoes on grass and risk slipping and make them pay attention to their cuts than take off their shoes and dig in with no shoes on, even in a grass field.
Right.
And that's just me. It's robbing a little bit of the top end speed, and it's robbing the aggressiveness you can go in a change of direction, but it's building their awareness of what they're doing and a little bit of body position awareness in there of like, you're going to slip out if you go into this corner too hard. So pay attention, learn how to decelerate, plant in a corner and get out of it rather than just head down, jamming the corners and having muddy ankles, you know, and broken toes.
Yeah. Were you at Power Athlete when we went to John Wellborn's house?
No.
Must have been with Luke for that one.
Yeah.
So this was a big footwear thing. So this is where all the Vans bros got screwed. So we went to John Wellborn's house and we did a workout out on the concrete pad, but it had rained or snowed. I think it snowed. It snowed in Austin that time. And so it was wet. And then they had us doing change of direction stuff on wet concrete and people in Vans. And so there's people who can't change direction at all on shuttles who haven't learned how to do it. So then they're trying to go 100 miles an hour, stop on a dime and go the other way to impress all the folks there, you know? And so that's not working. So there were two groups. There's one outside and one inside. And all of a sudden we're on the inside and all of a sudden like some guy's getting carried in. So he blew his Achilles out.
Oh.
And, but yeah, sorry, it's just my little Vans thing there. I don't know where I was going with that.
I don't know, but I'm just thinking now, like, so imagine yourself barefoot doing a lateral skip, crossing over even, right? Now imagine you in your Nike finger traps doing a lateral skip, crossing over even, right? Mm-hmm. And now imagine you in Vans doing a lateral skip. Yeah. It just feels terrible just thinking about it. Like, I feel like I'm going to catch my shin with a sharp corner of a van. Yeah,
right.
And I won't be able to get these things out of the way.
It's like ballerina feet, you know, your toes don't flex when you come up into your skip, you know.
I don't know. Just my opinion. Just our opinions.
We're educated on the subject.
I've walked before. I know what I'm talking about. I've changed direction.
You don't need to get the, what were they selling? Like the sea rocks for your shower or something like that.
I actually did want to get those. Okay. So that was a Sue Falsoni thing.
And
I dig on Sue Falsoni, right? And I actually almost got those for Katie because she always complains about back pain when she stands. Yeah. And I was like, I wonder if that little bit of afferent feedback would help out, you know? And I almost built one, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
And then I'm like, I'm not buying $80 bumpy tiles. Yeah. No, thank you, sir. I almost threw marbles in my shoe just for fun, you know. So I do think there might be a little more to that, but I'm not going to work out on them.
Correct.
I'm not doing skips on them. That's right.
If you're doing it because it feels good, then I'll go with it.
That would be the focused session. Okay. Of pressure in the feet, making you pay attention to where your body is and protecting your back a little bit. But that's not going to be my. I'm not going to consider that my baseline for my change of direction to go in and out of, or my plyo box. Yeah. I'm doing 45 box jumps. Different discussion. Anything else with footwear?
I think you got it.
All right. Well, if you guys hate Vans too, go over to the website and hit the Buy Me a Coffee button. You can buy us some coffee, but we'll talk more junk about Vans. About Vans, not Power Athlete, and not the people who do it, but about Vans.
But if you skate, then Vans are cool. But
Yeah. But only if you're under 22.
or Tony Hawk.
Or, yeah. You're making millions of dollars from other people wearing your shoe. Go for it. So go do the Buy Me a Coffee button. We'll be back soon talking about more stuff. Talk to you guys soon and be a 4 shifter.